This is David with High Performance Stoicism. I want to talk to you about appropriate actions. Do you know that wherever you are, whatever's going on around you, whatever you're doing, at each point in time, there's an appropriate action you should be doing? That's the Stoic view, and appropriate actions are a central part of Stoic ethics. It's such an important concept that seven of the major Stoic philosophers in the early years of Stoicism, starting with Zeno, wrote a book on the title On Appropriate Actions. The ancient Greek word is pathikon, and it's been translated in various ways. It's been translated as duty, proper function, fitting action, befitting action, and appropriate action. And appropriate action, I believe, is the best way to understand it. And we'll see why in a couple of minutes. Now, the Stoics say that there's something important that everybody has to know, and that is you were born to live according to nature. As you go through your life, you should try to live according to nature more and more. And what does that mean? I think here's one of the most comprehensive ways of describing what you are supposed to be doing. Living according to nature is living according to your nature, your rational nature, living according to the nature of the universe, doing nothing that's contrary to right reason or the common law, which, as they put it, is actually Zeus or God himself that is central to the entire universe. So they believe there's this guiding intelligence through the entire universe. And at every moment, what you're supposed to do is act in a way that's consistent with it. What the Stoics say about appropriate actions is it's an action when once done admits of a reasonable defense. Now, that gives us a standard, but note it's not a very high standard or a strict standard. And appropriate actions will include things that you do all the time. So, what's living in accordance with nature when you're hungry? Getting something to eat. What's living according to nature when you're inside and it's too hot? Going outside. And everybody can come up with numerous examples. You're sleepy, catch some sleep. Now, the Stoics do mean for appropriate actions to include things that are your duties. You made a promise to meet a friend today. And so, since your rational nature is to understand what it means to make a promise and to understand that it's something that it's important to do because of that, living according to nature in such a case is doing your duty and meeting your friend. Other things that are living according to nature are doing what is consistent with the common good for the people around you, society, and so on, and not harming other people. So there definitely is a moral element to it, but the Stoics say that other things are appropriate actions, and they include within this actions that are required, and they say in the context of virtue. So we must not only keep our duties in life, if we really want to live in accordance with nature, we have to realize our full natural potential. The Stoics believe that virtue is within us in seed form. So to become courageous, to, to become temperate, to become a just person requires acting in certain ways to develop ourselves to the fullest. And the person who is most fully developed, that would be the wise person, the wise man, or the virtuous person. And that's an important thing that you're going for. But that doesn't always involve just doing your duty. Oftentimes that involves what you are thinking. Oftentimes that involves checking yourself when you hesitate to do something out of fear. You see what I mean? And then saying, okay, but if I'm going to be courageous, I just simply have to do this. There's no way around this because if I do something cowardly now, I'm going to move in the direction of being more cowardly. So there's two things at least that we have to do that are appropriate actions according to nature, living according to nature, the what we would call our duties, and also what's required to become virtuous. But there's a third thing that I already touched upon, and the Stoics expressly state this, that one thing that is appropriate action is doing the things that are good for you to your advantage for your use, having to do with other things in the world. And so you do have to acquire some wealth in order to live your life, in order to have a shelter, clothes, and so forth. You do have to do things that will make you more healthy. And so that's in accord with nature. And you might notice that these things have to do with what we call preferred indifference, becoming wealthier, becoming more healthy. These things will not make you happy, so they are not goods, but they are things that we need to live an overall good life. So we've listed at least three things that are appropriate actions. And here's the important thing, especially in this quote I gave at the beginning, when I discuss the idea that at every point in time, there's an appropriate action. By thinking of looking at yourself in a given situation and looking above your situation, looking down on it as God would, and say, okay, what is really the most important thing for me to do at this time? You might find out, well, you haven't eaten for a while, so go get something to eat. You don't want to be at your computer all day, right? Other times, the important thing is going to be you have to do some work because you promised a client, you promised your boss to do something, and then that will be the appropriate action. And it's a beautiful thing about Stoicism, whether you believe in God or you don't, to think about looking at your life from this perspective above and saying, okay, in any situation I'm in, there's some action that is the most rational thing to do, the best thing, the appropriate thing. And here's something that's really important for you to know. If you just start to try to look for what's the appropriate action in this situation, and you're reading some Stoicism and starting to practice Stoicism, guess what's going to happen? You are going to find yourself making more rational actions on just that alone. So that's it on appropriate actions. Tell me in the comments, is this video appropriate? Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.